Hello, and welcome to my dark world of horror and terror of the afterlife. I'm Anubis, and I will take you on a tour of my boat and show you beneath the waters that will make you face real fear, which will startle you, shiver your bones. It'll scare the hell out of you. But before we get going, let me introduce myself. I am Anubis, the Egyptian god of the afterlife and mummification. I have the head of a jackal and the body of a human. But don't you dare judge me as a normal god of afterlife. I am the wicked god of evil and dark. I will justify you at any cost. I judge souls after their death by taking them underwater on my boat to my kingdom of darkness and weigh their heart against the white feather of truth. And if the weight of the feather is heavier than your heart, then you'll be allowed to enter the realm of dead. But what if the feather isn't heavier than your heart? You have no idea what I will be doing to you. So come on, let me tell you a story of one such person with a heavy heart and what I did to him. I had a lot of fun torturing him in such a dreadful way. A few years back, Arian left his house in anger. He had a huge fight with his wife, Canny, in the morning. She had cheated on him with her colleague and was caught red-handed by Arian the day before. Arian loved her so much, and he wasn't able to take the betrayal from Canny. While returning back in the evening, he decided to file for divorce to take revenge from Canny. But on the way, he was met with an accident and died. The justice was done. Here's how. I approached Arian to take his soul with me on my boat to the underworld, where he had to prove to me that he had lived a perfect life without sin. He had to prove to me that he had not committed any crime or have done anything wrong in his entire life. It will be then he will be allowed to enter the realm of death. But do you think anyone can live such a sinless life? Anyway, I pushed Arian into the water from the boat, and his afterlife journey to prove himself to the innocent started. He had to pass through the lakes of fire and magical gates, which were all guarded by fearful, giant beasts such as huge snakes, crocodiles, and half-human monsters. But fortunately, he crossed the lakes using tricks and tactics, repelled the monsters' attacks, and successfully reached the next stage, where a serpent god of destruction was waiting to swallow his soul. He ditched him too and reached the god of truth and justice. Here, Arian faces his final challenge, where he was judged by 42 treacherous guards, where he had to convince them that he had lived a true life and never committed any sins. He addressed each one of them and claimed his purity. The guards were not convinced and started asking him questions to prove himself innocent. They asked him questions such as, had he ever made anyone cry? Had he ever hurt anyone? Or had he ever cheated on someone? It was difficult to prove himself to the guards, but he somehow convinced them and reached the final stage, the golden scale of truth for weighing his heart against the feather, and if his heart was heavier than the feather by his wrong deeds and lies, he will then face the consequences. It was time. I weighed his heart, and you know what? He wasn't innocent. He had made people cry. He had hurt somebody, and yes, he too had cheated on his wife. It was time for justice. I took his soul with me for chastisement. His soul was immersed in boiling oil. A heating rod was pierced into his soul. His soul was scratched and torn into pieces. Each part of his soul was tortured horribly, and at last he was devoured by Amit. Amit was a demoness with a lion's head, the upper body of a hippopotamus, and the back of a crocodile. She was a man-cum, soul-eating monster which survived on souls. Arian's journey ended, and he died the second time because of his sins and his wrong deeds. So be watchful. It could be you next time. Better watch your actions, folks. Until we meet again, I'm Anubis, and this was Anubis Tales.